Know if this internet is going to help me today, but we're going to try. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Hopefully this internet will last me today. All right. Come on in, coming in, coming in. Today's topic is why therapy may not have worked for you and how having a coach is different. I'm going to put this, just waiting on. Hey, can you hear me on Facebook? I'm live on Instagram and live on Facebook. And my dog is trying to come in. Okay, so today's topic, why therapy or journaling may not have worked for you, how having a coach is different. Comes to dysfunctional relationships. Come on in, come on in. We are just getting started. Come on in, come on in. There we go. Did I spell everything right? Why therapy or journaling may not have worked for you, how having a coach is different. And this is obviously in the bucket of dysfunctional relationships. So that is going to be what we are talking about today. I just want to make sure on Facebook, can you hear me? I know I've had some issues with the internet, but can you hear me live here on Facebook and also on Instagram? Just want to make sure you can hear me. And I think it's national, it's like National Mental Health Month, mental health awareness. Okay. All right, so today's topic is why therapy or journaling, maybe you're doing the meditations, is not working for you. We're going to talk about why that may be happening and how having a coach is different, and that may work for you instead, or both. I just want to make sure I am live. Can you hear me on Facebook? Can you hear me on Facebook? I know my internet has been acting up as of late, but I just want to make sure you can hear me because I'm live on Facebook and live on Instagram. Can you type yes in the comments? Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's get started. So today's topic is why therapy or journaling may not have worked for you and how having a coach is different. Now, this is in the bucket of when it comes to a dysfunctional relationship. Okay, so this is specifically in this niche, in this bucket. So before we get started on the why and how, let me introduce myself. My name is Rika. I'm a certified NLP life coach. I am self-proclaimed the single girls life coach. I'm the host of Single You, the podcast, and the founder of Single You Academy, which is my online group coaching program for single women, typically in their 30s and 40s, who want to stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships without like that icky feeling of feeling bad for saying no. Because a lot of the times, the reasons why we're in this dysfunctional relationship is because we have a hard time setting boundaries, okay? And today's topic came about because I talked to obviously a lot of women. I've been coaching since 2019, and a lot of my clients have a therapist while they're working with me and or had a therapist. And a lot of them have told me, yo, I've been in therapy, I've journaled, I'm trying to do all the affirmations, I'm trying all the things, but for some reason, I'm still in this cycle of dysfunctional relationships. And so we're going to go over some of the reasons why that may be happening, and maybe coaching is a better option for you. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And today is not, I just want to be clear, this is not about throwing therapy under the bus. Therapy is a wonderful tool in your self-healing journey, but it's not the only tool, and it doesn't have to be the only tool. But I know that that is what is out there, is go to therapy, go to therapy, go to therapy. But a lot of people don't know about coaching and what coaching means. So over the next 30 minutes or so, I hope to be able to explain that to the best of my abilities. And I'm actually going to use some of my clients who have told me that, you know, I've been in therapy and therapy helped me with this, but you helped me with this. So speaking of, let's just go ahead and get to the first video here. Now, this is a client who had a therapist before she started working with me. And when she started working with me, she explained how it was different. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the video here and then we'll talk about it. Oh, let me get rid of this banner. Let me blow this up. And here we go. Why should she? And she's like, okay, Ellen, really? Why should I hire Rika as a coach? Oh, here on Instagram.
I say it's an investment in yourself. Take the time to appreciate yourself enough to just give it a try. The tools, the utilization of the different people that you have been able to bring on, the different mindsets. I love that you've actually brought, men on. I wasn't expecting that. So to have like a male perspective and to be able to hear the female perspective, to be able to have the camaraderie that we have in the group of girls that we do have on here. We're all not in exactly the same spot, but we have to start somewhere. If we don't start somewhere and we don't start the small investment in ourselves, then it's taken away from the value that you have in yourself. And you are giving me that foundation to help gain information to be able to succeed in my future. My counselor did the work to help me break through my past, break through my broke. You're taking my broken and showing me what I can propel forward and show everybody that once you get your power back, there's no stopping you.
All right. So if you are just tuning in, today's topic is why therapy may not have worked for you. Journaling, saying all the affirmations, but unfortunately, you're still in this cycle of dysfunction. Okay. So again, if you're new to my platform, if you're just joining the live and you're like, what is Rika talking about today? So as you know, I'm always here for the woman who needs to hear that singleness is not a punishment and that you're worthy regardless of your relationship status. Okay. And this topic kind of came to mind because I've heard this before from clients of mine. Just like you just saw Ellen talk about the difference between having a counselor, a therapist, and then me as her coach. I am here to actually hold you accountable to the things that you say that you want, okay? This is the difference between maybe your therapist. And this is just what my clients have told me and what I've experienced. There are different therapists out there. They may do different things. But if this resonates with you about having a therapist who kind of just really talk to you about your whys, you sit on the couch, you're on Zoom, whatever, and they're like, what do you want to talk to? What do you want to talk about today? And they kind of go deep with you on that. You're figuring out a lot of childhood stuff, which is wonderful. That is beautiful. That is great. Whereas I am here to hold you accountable to the things that you say that you want, okay? And what you want is to stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships. So I actually give you actionable, tangible steps to do that. So yes, we're going to do some talking and discovering your whys, because that's all a part of who you are. But it's also about, okay, so if you want to stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships, you do X, Y, and Z through my lens, according to the curriculum that I wrote up for Single You Academy. So that is the difference, I feel. And what I've heard from clients of mine going through Single You Academy, the difference between a therapist and a coach. Again, I'm not here to throw therapy under the bus. Therapy is wonderful. It's beautiful. I think a lot of my clients need therapy and me, because I work in a particular niche. We just in lane 7, where everything else is in lane 6 and 5 and 4. You and I work in lane 7, right? It's like the difference between, well, you want to actually go to school to be a lawyer, or you just want to read about being a lawyer, right? So I feel like the therapist would help you read about being a lawyer, where I am like, we're going to help you be a lawyer. Stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships right here in lane 7. So if you feel like the journaling, the meditation that you are doing is not working for you in this bucket, then maybe you want to think about joining Single You Academy. And we're going to talk about that coming up, but I want to share my screen because I want to give you some tips right now on how to actually stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships. I want to give you a few tips right now so you can kind of get a taste of what Single You Academy is about, okay? So we are going to go through, yep, it's on the screen. Perfect. Let's blow it up. Okay, on Facebook, can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? I just want to make sure, okay? And Instagram, you can always hear me, so I know you're good. Oh, let me take this away. Okay, so over the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to talk about this. My 3 tips to help you spot a liar, 3 reasons why you fall for the lies and the liar, and then my 4 pillars that will keep you out of a dysfunctional relationship. It's my mindset, because I'm not here to make you me. I always tell my clients in Single You Academy that I'm here to help you develop how I think. That way, when we're done with the coaching client relationship, boom, you're ready to go. 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now. These are tools that you can continue to use to make sure that this door is done. We're not doing this revolving door of the same old when it comes to relationships. And then at the end, I'll give you details on how to apply for Single You Academy, okay? So that is what we are going to do today. And if you're watching this in the replay or live right now, you might want to grab a notebook, okay? All right, so coming up, especially when we speak of Single You Academy, you're gonna hear from more of my clients, just like you just did Ellen. They're going to give you real life examples. I'm gonna give you real life examples on how they discovered their worth thanks to my 4 pillars on living a successful single life. Because I truly believe that you can have an unsuccessful single life. And if your identity is tied to a man, if your worth is found in a man, that is living an unsuccessful single life. If you're in the cycle of dysfunction, that, through my lens, in my opinion, is living an unsuccessful single life. So I'm going to give you 4 pillars that will help you live a successful single life, okay? All right, so 3 tips to get the most out of today, right now, in the next 30, 40 minutes. I'm definitely gonna end this before 1 o'clock, so this is what I'm gonna do, is grab a notebook if you can, turn off your cell phone, and if you can, unless you're watching on your cell phone, maybe you're cleaning up or you're cooking, just set me up and just listen. Faith comes by hearing, okay? So you can just listen to me today. And if you have any questions, you can interact with me. I don't want you to think that you can't ask questions. You totally can. You can type it in the chat in the comment section. And then if I were you, close all tabs on your computer so you don't get the Facebook notifications, okay? Because you can tell your friends, listen, I'm in class right now. I'm listening to Rika talk about how singleness is not a punishment. Okay, so would you say right now, whether you're watching in the replay or you're watching live right now, there's a lot of confusion in your relationships, dating, single life, or D, all of the above? Would you say there is a lot of confusion in my A, relationships, B, dating, C, single life, or D, all of the above? Where do you feel like you land? All of the above? In your dating life, in your single life, you feel confused often. How am I supposed to do this thing? How am I supposed to be a successful single person? How am I supposed to date? Here's another question for you. And if you're watching in the replay or right now, you can type in the chat any of your answers, okay? How many times have you written off guys only to find yourself in the same type of dysfunctional relationship? This revolving door, either with the same guy or Tom, Dick, and Harry, it is this revolving door of dysfunction. How many times have you written off guys? Is it 1 time, two, a few, too many for you to count. You're just like, girl, I don't know. This revolving door is annoying. You can go ahead and type that in the chat. I see D over here on Instagram. So all of the above. Okay. So then you're in the right place. If you feel like there's a lot of confusion for you surrounding single, dating, relationships. So here's the thing. I believe I know why this is happening to you. Okay. Now, before we get to that, just in case you're new to me, I just kind of want to give you some cliff notes on who I am. I have been a radio personality for since I was at Howard University. Yes, I graduated from Howard University. But in September of 2020, I stepped down to focus on what I believe God is calling me to do in this moment in my life. And before I stepped down, I unfortunately, between the years of 2015 and 2017, was in a dysfunctional relationship. For me, it was one guy. I had dodged a lot, but by the time I hit 32, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't get the goal in life. I don't have kids. Society is putting all this pressure on me. I'm not my mom. I was holding marriage up on a pedestal. I believed that my identity was tied into a man because that's what society told me. And so from 2015 to 2017, I was in an abusive relationship, emotionally abusive. And I got out of that in December of 2017, and I started sharing my trials and tribulations about my journey with relationship and the shame of being single and what happened to me in that relationship where he was executing, showing me a lot of narcissistic characteristics. But at that time, I didn't know what narcissism meant. Between the years of 2017 and pre, I had no idea what narcissism was, because these are the things that they don't teach us. Society wants to push us into marriage and to having kids without setting us up properly first about knowing who we are and knowing what a healthy relationship is versus an unhealthy relationship. So we need to know about narcissism, projection, love bombing, all of that, and ourselves, who we are. And we're going to get to the 4 pillars, like I said, of living a successful single life. But we have to know who we are before we're getting into this dating world. And so these are the things that I started talking about and what I felt was not given to me as tools before I started dating. Okay. And so then I became a certified NLP life coach, neuro linguistic programming. I'm so into that. And that's how I teach in Single You Academy. So I help single women, professional single women who feel like, why is my career together? Why do I have this side of my life together? But over here, my love life is trash. I keep letting men manipulate me and lie to me and treat me like yesterday's news, like yesterday's trash, and put me out on the curb. But then when he wants to come pick me up, I'll go out with him. Maybe we'll have sex, but then he ghosts me again. And that cycle continues. Those are the women I help. You're ready to stop that cycle of dysfunction, really ready to discover your worth so that you can stop tying your worth and identity into men. Then maybe I'm the coach for you. And we'll talk about that coming up. So now let's go back to this question. Okay, because I asked you a few minutes ago, is there a lot of confusion in relationships and dating? You just feel like you're confused about a lot of things. And I saw some of you say yes or D, all of the above. And so let me ask you this. Who had a conversation with you about what makes a healthy relationship versus unhealthy? Do you understand the difference between healthy hard versus abusive versus dysfunctional? Healthy hard versus this is trash. Because, a lot of married people love to say, oh my God, marriage is hard. And so when you're single and you're on the outside looking in, you don't know what that means. So does that mean he's allowed to manipulate me? Does that mean I have to prove my love to him? Do I have to tap dance? Am I the puppet and he's the puppeteer? What does that mean? Healthy hard versus dysfunction. Has anybody ever had that conversation with you? I'm willing to bet no, if you're here. Okay. And I'll be honest, tell the truth, shame the devil. Nobody had that conversation with me. And so unfortunately, between those years of 2015, 2017, that's why I was in a dysfunctional relationship and being manipulated and lied to and cheated on. And I just want you to imagine where you actually want to be in these relationships, what type of woman you actually want to be in a relationship. Tracy Ellis Ross writes, I am happily single, though that doesn't mean I am not open to and don't want a relationship, But in my wonderful and robust experience of being single, I have learned to have a productive relationship with loneliness and an intensely juicy relationship with my joyful solitude. I really enjoy my company. I love this quote from Tracy Ellis Ross. This is how we should be living. I'm happy single, and I will welcome a loving, healthy man who doesn't want to take his traumas out on me into my life if I feel that it's a good fit. But other than that, I'm living a life productive. I'm living out my purpose and happily single. That's where you want to be, right? Because that's the woman that you thought you were before you got into that dysfunctional relationship and let him treat you like trash. And then you realize, oh, wait, I'm not that woman. And maybe I'm just talking to myself, because I had to forgive the woman that I actually was when I was in that dysfunctional relationship, because I was like, I'm not who I thought I was. He showed me all the flaws of me and how much I tied my identity to a man. But this is where in 2017, when I got out of that relationship, this is where I wanted to be. And I'm here now. I can happily say that this is where I'm at. And this is where I want you to be. So that's why I do what I do on my platform. I'm here to tell you that singleness is not a punishment, and you are worthy regardless of your relationship status. And then if you so choose and you want me to coach you through and help you stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships, that's where I come in. Because maybe you don't know where to start. Because let's talk about what makes a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. Since nobody had the conversation with you, let's talk. Okay? We're going to start with this knowledge. How to know if he's lying to you. 3 tips. And I only came up with 3 for this presentation. There are more, but this is through my lens. And like I said, what I came up with for this presentation for the time constraints. And plus, we talk about it more in Single You Academy. So how to know if he's lying to you sooner rather than later, because that's what you want, right? That's what you want, right? Because I get that question a lot from you, from women. Well, how do I know he's the one? Or how do I know? How do I know? So how to know if he's lying to you sooner rather than later. Tip number 3, I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. Hesitation is a language. If you feel a hesitation in his answer when you ask him a question, he's lying. He's hiding something. Now, whether that be good or bad or whatever, that's on him. But if men are hesitating around me when I ask them a question, I'm out. Let me tell you about the boyfriend that cost me $10,000, okay? There was a huge red flag that I passed up. And he hesitated every single time I asked him this question. So what's your credit score? How are your finances? Because on the outside looking in, it looked like he had a good job. Well, he did have a good job. So I assume you have a good job, you're good with your money. And every time I would ask him, how are your finances? What's your credit score? He would always be like, oh, I'm just so embarrassed. I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you in a minute. Let me just raise it a little bit and then I'll let you know, blah, blah, blah. And that was hesitation because he was hiding something, his true character when it came to money. They say the number one reason people get a divorce is because of money. To me, it's not how much or how little you have. It's how you think about money and how you operate in your life with money. And so when he told me that he was moving from DC to Seattle to be with me, of course, I got excited because I'm hearing all the things that I want to hear. And then it came up that he couldn't afford the move. So I felt obligated that I needed to help him. And I gave him my credit card and that baby racked it up $10,000. Remember, I never got my answer on how he was doing with money because he hesitated. Never got my answer. And then after he racked up my credit card a few months later, he broke up with me saying that I had it two together. So that's what I mean by hesitation is a language. You're asking him questions and you never get a direct answer because you. When you're not lying, you just say what it is. Girl, my credit score is 500 or whatever it is. Like, why do we need to lie about that? I'm not trying to be with somebody who is hesitant and scared about sharing their financial situations. We're trying to be in a real relationship. We need to be talking about this because, again, the number one reason people get a divorce is over money, has to do with money. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about how to spot a liar sooner rather than later, because that's one of the questions I get from you as women a lot. Is like, how do I know if he's for me or whatever? So tip number 2, his character. Pay attention to his character. The Bible talks about you will know him. You will know my people by their fruits. So here's a few things I jotted down about what I mean as character. Speaking in absolutes. I don't like men when they're like, girl, I ain't never gonna hurt you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't never gonna do, I'll never cheat on you. I ain't never, Especially the I will never hurt you. That's a lie. Nobody can ever say that to you, not even your mother, and she birthed you. We're gonna hurt each other's feelings. So saying that and you just absolute about it, I feel like you know you're gonna hurt me. Number 2, he doesn't respect your boundaries. You let him know, listen, I don't have people over my house past 9 o'clock. So sure, we can watch a movie, but we ain't Netflix and chilling. And he gets upset because I get a lot of questions from women like, how come every time I let a man know, like, we're not going to have sex at first, they ghost me or they try to push me? That's because he doesn't respect your boundaries. And if you do put that boundary up and we're not having sex and he does ghost you, good. He did you a favor. And then also quick to anger. Is he quick or slow to anger? Because you don't want a man who's quick to anger. My abusive ex, man, a leaf would fall off the tree and his day was ruined. He would always get upset at the stupidest things. Always. So you know how we have our list, right? Of like what we want in a man and this and that. And a lot of women, before they go do the work and they're superficial, in my opinion, it's all about 6 figures, 6 feet, 6-pack or whatever. No, the number one thing on my list, I was gonna say my ex, where did that came from? On my list for what I want in a man is slow to anger. I don't want somebody who's so quick and pops off at the mouth just because something didn't go his way. All right, so this is tip number, so I went 3, 2, actually, no, let's talk about a client of mine. Sorry, I'm looking at my slides and I'm like, okay, nope, one's not yet. So of course I was gonna tell you about Single You Academy. Okay, by now you know that the doors to Single You Academy are open. The application process is happening now. The application process ends June 4th. Yes, you do have to apply to Single You Academy because I don't let everybody in. I only work with a particular set of women, type of woman. And so when Carla met me, this is before we were working together. And when we are going through the process of you applying, I ask you a lot of questions. And I asked her, what's her dating life like now? And she said, I date the same type of men because like you said, it's like I'm happy and they choose me. So it's like, oh, you chose me. Okay, I'm going to sacrifice what I know I don't want just because you chose me. You see, my last boyfriend, we were together for 7 years. We did well together for a while or so, I thought, but he never wanted the commitment and I never saw it. He kept stringing me along and I feel like I do all of these things for men. I'm this good woman, and so why not me? Does that resonate with you? Do you feel like you are where she was before we started working together? And I'm going to show you where she is now. But does that resonate with you? You get excited when men pick you. You break all your rules for a guy. Even though he doesn't want a commitment, you're still like, well, I can make him. I can change him. He'll want one. I'm different. He'll love me. I'm a good woman. And then after we worked together, this is a text message she sent me. She was like, Rika, I was able to stick up for myself after a man tried to put me on timeout like I was a kid. I was very blunt and very clear. Remember, I said I help my clients set clear and hard boundaries. She said, I've never been that person before Single You Academy. I used to not want to get excuse me. I used to not want to get a man too upset because I still wanted him to be around. I felt so good that I sent him that text message and I read it like 1,000 times. And I was like, I can't believe I did that because I always hold on. And in the past, I know what I felt, but I I just didn't want to be in the wrong or for him to walk away. I swear I'm so thirsty, I can't talk. Does that resonate with you? You always want to set a boundary. You feel like this isn't right. I should set a boundary with this man, but you don't want him to leave or you don't want him to get upset. Remember, we're talking about a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. If you're afraid to speak up for yourself because you don't want him to leave or you don't want him to get upset, red flag. I would put that in the unhealthy category. All right, so remember we were talking about 3 ways to spot a liar sooner rather than later. Here's number 1. If I'm confused, I'm out. So a lot of you always say, well, I'm talking to this guy, but I'm not sure if I like him or if he likes me. There's a lot of confusion around that. Remember earlier I asked you, are you confused in your dating life? That's what I mean. You're like, well, is he in, is he out, or do I even like him? So if I'm confused, I know that relationship is not for me. And here's an example of that. I was talking to this guy, I think it was early January 2020. But anyway, I sent him a text because immediately I need to know where your relationship with God is. It's not about being religious, but do you have a relationship? And I had asked him, how do you nurture your relationship with God and your faith? And he sent me this text back. I know on Instagram you can't see the slides, but the slides are on Facebook. I'll read it to you. He said, this is how he answered me. I haven't utilized my faith in relationships. Either she respects me or she doesn't. It's not my job to teach her that. I'm just going to let that settle. Aren't you confused? Aren't you confused? What up, Red? And then I asked him, what do you mean by that? And he goes, that was the simplest translation. And I want to tell you, the next day, I told him, you're not my husband. Bye. We're not talking. I'm confused. What does that mean? I asked you a simple question. How do you nurture your relationship with God? You can be like, well, I listen to worship music, or I watch a sermon. I talk to him every day. I read my Bible. What? I walk with God every day. I was so confused. So like I said, if I'm confused, I'm out. Okay? So if you're just tuning in, we were talking about the 3 ways to spot a liar sooner rather than later. Okay? So here's an example, and I'm going to read this to you because on Instagram you can't see my slides. This girl sent me this message and she said, he is very hard to read and I don't know how to act half the time. We are good for a minute and then he needs space. Then we real good, but then he says he wants to figure out what type of relationship he wants. Then we sleep together, then he is sort of distant, but says he wants to continue whatever we are doing. He's just a very busy man. And I just don't want to get hurt or led on, but I also don't want to push him. Also, I don't want to waste my time or give myself to someone for nothing. I'm lost and I don't know where to go from here. What does that sound like? Confusion. And I know when you're reading this as a woman, even though you're here, if you are in my punishment, I argue that you're in the revolving door of dysfunctional relationships and you're trying to stop that. But as you're reading this, it is easy for you to judge her and say, oh my God, girl, why don't you just leave? Okay, I can say the same to you about your situation. Oh, it's easy to be the helicopter in the sky. And when you ain't got no feelings tied into it, to be like, girl, why don't you just leave? It's easy to do that. But when it's you, you want people to feel bad for you. Girl, just give me advice. Help me. It's a mindset change that you need. And that's what I'm here to help you make. That mindset shift. Again, I'm not here to make you me. I'm here to help you think how I think when it comes to this whole dating game. When it comes to this whole know yourself, know your worth, because I know you hear that all the time, but you have no idea what that means. I had one client say, girl, that's like Chinese to me. I have no idea when people are like, know your worth. And I'm like, that's what I'm here to help you with, baby. Girl, that's what I do. I'm not here to judge you because I've been there, okay? So now I'm going to give you 3 reasons you keep falling for those lies. And I need to speed it up because I said I was going to be done by 1. So reason number 3. Is it Mirror? Myra, Lord, Mirror. Where did I get the double R from? Myra, excuse me, charge it to my head and not my heart. I see that you just said, teach me. Could you send me a DM and hang on to the live because we're going to talk about what Single You Academy is, which is my group coaching program where I help women stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships. So if this is resonating with you, I need you to send me a DM, Myra. Okay. Especially because on Instagram, when I end the live, I won't see your comments anymore. So please reach out to me, please. Okay. In fact, I'm going to, oh, there we go. Look, and I just said I need to hurry up. Lord, let me hurry up. Okay. All right. So this is why 3 reasons why you fall for those lies from men. Okay. Reason number 3, I'm going to go 3, 2, 1. You get too excited when a man hits on you. You like to be picked. It's like, oh my God, a kickball game. I'm in. You like to be picked. You got to stop that. That lets me know that your identity is tied in men. You only feel worthy when a guy likes you, when a guy is chasing you. I argue that's not a good position to be in because how has that been working out for you? What up, girl? All right, reason number 2, why you keep falling for these liars and you're in this cycle of dysfunction. Reason number 2, you fall in love with potential. You see the man that he could be and you're steady trying to make him that man. You know how, is it the movie Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze, rest in peace, and they're molding that pot together? You think you can do that with a man. Yesterday, we talked about how you, because you think you're a good woman and you deserve a good man, gets you in trouble. Because you think your goodness and being this good woman, and if I can just be good enough and be the ride or die, he will then become. This is something I always tell you to write down. A man is who he is, not who you want him to be, period. That's what Maya Angelou is talking about when she says, when people show you who they are, believe them. That potential gonna get you effed up every time. Every time. 9 times out of 10 at least. There's an exception to every rule, and I don't speak in absolutes. I'm just telling you what I know for sure today. And what I've learned in being in an abusive relationship from 2015 to 2017. All right, so reason number 1 why you're falling for these liars. You don't know who you are or how to get what you want. Because you can feel like you know who you are. Well, in this space, in my career, I got that together. I think I love myself or whatever. I don't want to be in a dysfunctional relationship, but then over here in this corner, your love life is trash. And you're in this cycle, this revolving door, either with the same guy or a different guy. But it's the same kind of, excuse me, relationship. Okay, so that's why you keep falling for the liars, okay? And Instagram, I'm going to show you this because I want you to type A or B in the chat. Which one of these statements is true for you? A, man, I really used to think love was doing everything he asked so I could prove my love to him. Or B, just paid all my bills. I can't believe I used to date men who never paid theirs or didn't have any. These are tweets that I had like put out like a month or so ago, and I got so many retweets and likes. So what resonates with you? A or B, or maybe it's C. I should have put C in there, all of the above. Which one resonates with you? I would love to hear. And it definitely was poor lack of judgment on my part. My bad. But again, as we were talking about earlier, who sat you down and had a real conversation with you about what makes a healthy relationship versus unhealthy? What is healthy hard versus dysfunctional versus abusive versus something you should walk away from? So that's where my poor lack of, the Bible talks about my people perish from lack of knowledge. And when we're talking about this bucket of dating and self-love, we are perishing and we're in these dysfunctional relationships because of lack of knowledge. What did you learn from your parents about relationships and dating? So here's another client of mine. She said, so before Single You Academy, when guys would hit on me, I would just go for it. That's that excitement for being picked. She goes on to say, I would say, oh yeah, we can go meet up and whatever. I'll get in your Jeep, come pick me up. Girl, don't be giving your address out to men you don't know, especially if they come in from social media. She said she would do that. Yeah, come get me. I'll get in your car, your Jeep. She called a Jeep. Just because the guy is like, oh, I want to visit with you. Again, excitement for being picked. She goes on to say, I wouldn't even know these guys or know who the person was, and that has never worked out for me and has put me in a lot of bad situations. And she says, since working with me in Single You Academy, she goes, now I put up boundaries, and just having those boundaries has been working well for me. Rika has helped me a lot. If it wasn't for her, I would be where I was in the past, not knowing my worth. Yeah, Red, and she shouldn't be a writer. Okay, so here's another. I want you to type A, B, or C in the chat here. How have you been navigating dating? Stab in the dark, knowledge and intention, or both? How have you been navigating dating? I want you to evaluate that, and how has that been working out for you? Most of my clients say stab in the dark. You're just dating because that's what people do. Oh, well, I like him. My vagina says I like him, so I'm going to date him. Your vagina, write this down. Please put this on a post-it note on your mirror, and I hope somebody sees it so they can have a good laugh. Your vagina doesn't actually know if he's the one or not, sis. Your vagina is a liar. That's biology. She's supposed to feel that way, especially if he's fine. You deem him fine. So my question to you today is, as we go into explaining what Single You Academy is and how you and I can work together if you so want to, what if you took not being in a dysfunctional relationship seriously? What would happen? Because like I said, we talked about, nobody had a conversation with us about healthy versus unhealthy relationships. But what if you took that seriously and took it upon yourself to learn that? What would happen? What would change in your life? And what doesn't change if you don't take it seriously? What is it costing you to stay in a dysfunctional relationship? So I want to talk about my 4 pillars that will keep you out of a dysfunctional relationship. I call them my 4 pillars to living a successful success. Is sex on my mind? A successful single life. As I said earlier, I believe that you can live an unsuccessful single life. So you think people who are in a relationship and then their relationship doesn't last, you're like, oh my God, their relationships are unsuccessful. Do you know that you can live an unsuccessful single life? And it's called living in a dysfunctional relationship cycle. Not knowing who you are, letting men treat you like trash. That is not knowing your purpose. That is an unsuccessful single life. And how is that working out for you? So let's go through my 4 pillars. And it's all about mindset. And I teach from this in Single You Academy. Number 1. Well, actually, we'll go, step 1. You got to know who you are. And it has to be deeper than my favorite color is blue. Who are you, sis? What are your triggers? Why are you the way you are? And then what can you do to change it, to change your behavior? Know who you are. Know what you will put up with. And know what you won't put up with. Know who you are. Deeper than my favorite color is blue. I don't even ask dudes their favorite color no more. Because I want you to actually change your behavior so you can stop being treated like trash by men. I want to bridge the gap for you between reading the affirmations and having a therapist and it actually not working for you, to living that affirmation, to being that affirmation, to really being the woman you say you want to be. And so earlier we were talking about the difference between having a therapist and a coach, because I've had a lot of clients say that their coach didn't get them to where they actually wanted to be. And I'm not throwing therapists under the bus. I've had a therapist before. I'm about to get another one. Therapy is wonderful, but it's a lot of talking. If you want action and you want steps, Single You Academy. Okay. So step number 2, again, I'm giving you the 4 pillars of living a successful single life. Number 2 is you got to know what you want and how to get it. Because I know you know what you want. Because if I were like, do you want a healthy relationship or one where he treats you like trash? You'd be like, healthy, I want a healthy relationship. But you don't know how to get it. What up, Kay? You don't know how to get that, do you? You're like, I'm trying. I have good intentions every time I go into a relationship. I think he'll change. I think this one will be different. But yet here we are. Here we are in this cycle of dysfunction with the same guy, usually your baby daddy, or a different guy, Tom, Dick, and Harry, all different dudes, same kind of relationship. Because you know what you want, you just don't know how to get it. All right, here's another testimonial from one of my clients. Rika, he did it again, but this time when he decided to stop speaking to me, I didn't reach out. It's been about a month now and I haven't spoken to him. Not only have I been at peace, but I realized how stressful talking to him was because I didn't want to say or do the wrong thing to make him mad at me. How many of you have been there? If I speak up for myself, if I set a boundary, he'll get mad, he'll leave me. You're in fear of that. She goes on to say, listen, Rika, with your lessons and your videos and the reading the book that you assign, I realized that he is not the guy for me. I have another client who said, and Rika, so listen, I got to tell you, superficially, when people hear Single You Academy, and when she means people, she's telling her friends. So I got this coach, I'm in this thing called Single You Academy. And they would say to her, why you paid what for what? I could have taught you that. And she said, no, they couldn't. My friends could not have taught me what you taught me because they weren't going to push me to the level of Single You Academy, by which literally doors started unlocking and helping me to have the strength to walk through. Single You Academy is definitely helpful and it was worth every penny. It truly was. Listen, because your friends, if they have done no studying of relationships and people, psychology, how are they giving you the best advice? Because you've asked your friends for advice. You've tried that and it's not working. You're still in a cycle of dysfunctional relationships. And I argue probably she is too. Because over 10 million Americans every year here in America, over 10 million every year will be subjected to psychological, emotional, physical abuse. 10 million. So that means your best friend, that's my best friend. She, whatever that sweetie song is, you going. All right, step 3, again, 4 pillars to living a successful single life. I want you to have the audacity to believe that you can get what it is you say you want. And that's what I'm here to do for you. Help you know who you are, know what you want, how to get it, and I hold you accountable to having the audacity to believe that you can get it. That's number 3. And the patience to wait for it is number 4. Because the problem is we don't have the patience. We know what we want, but we just settle. Because everybody tells you, you ain't gonna get a guy like that. Or what you're seeing in hip hop, the things that you're watching, those men, the type of man that you want it seems like he doesn't exist. He does. Whatever it is you want exists, but you think it doesn't because of the lens, the area that you live in, what you're seeing. That's all your programming. You see bullshit, you're going to accept bullshit because that's what you're used to. I mean, listen, again, no judgment, because I've been here. You have to have the patience and the belief, the audacity to faith. Your mindset needs to change. And I thought this was really beautiful. My cousin Shanice, shout out to her. She's getting married June 19th. I'm going to the wedding. Hey. And she was in this cycle before. Generational curses, exactly. I actually had a client tell me that I broke a generational curse for her. Her daughter would not go through the same things that she went through because of the things that she learned in Single You Academy. And I remember crying when she was telling me that, because I was like, wow, dude, what I'm doing, I think, is more powerful than I even know. But anyway, so this is a quote from my cousin Shanice. Her husband's name is Jacory, or her soon-to-be husband. She said, listen, he made me realize how much I settled in the past. What I learned is the right person will make you realize that. We don't argue. We don't fuss. He lets me live my life, and he lives his life. And when I'm out with my girlfriends, I don't feel like, oh my God, I have to text him and check in. Women take for granted their freedom, and he so freely grants that. He cares about me. And that's what I mean about patience and having the audacity to believe that you can get what you want. Because how many of you have been with men who his life revolves around yours revolves around him, you go out with your girlfriends or what have you, and he's fussing? Where you at? He's always trying to check in with you. And you think that's cute, or you think that's just relationships. You let him set the rules. Because again, nobody had a conversation with you about what makes a healthy relationship versus unhealthy. So as I end this, I ask you, what is it costing you to hold on to all that previous pain from relationships? Hold on to all that pain from previous relationships. Because I don't want you to be bitter. I don't want you to be scared of men. I don't want you to hate men. I love men. Men are sexy. But what I will not do is settle for the BS. I ain't doing the okie doke no more. So do you want to be bitter, or do you want to be a woman who believes, you know what, I can get what I want, and when I deem acceptable, I'll date him? I can do that. What is it costing you to continue to be in the revolving door of dysfunctional relationships? What is it costing you to be in that revolving door of dysfunctional relationships? What is it costing you to never learn what a healthy relationship is? Because again, I argue you don't know the difference between what a healthy relationship is versus dysfunctional, versus abusive, versus you should leave. Because we get confused. Well, do I leave him? Do I not? I don't know. Is this normal? Is it? Because nobody sat you down and talked to you about that. That's what Single You Academy does for you, and way more things as well. I would argue it's costing you peace, your hair, joy, self-confidence, money. Because us professional women, we got it together over here in a career. We got a little bit of our finances together, and we'll spend all the money on him. You need Jordans, baby. You need an Xbox. You need a video game. You need your rent paid. You need food. And you paying all you shot. I had a client say all she does is give her boyfriend money and sex, and she still never gets anything in return. Because we think, well, I'm in this relationship, so this is what I'm supposed to do. Are you, though? You a wife to a boyfriend? Mm-mm. Here's another client of mine. In the little time I've been here, I feel so supported in my single journey. Embracing my singleness with confidence, embracing my pain and growing through it, embracing my budget and goals. Rika really allowed me to confront the traditional thoughts of our society around relationships and embrace me, the real me, that's not attached to a man or a ring. I can stop the live right there, because I know you don't want to be attached to a man or a ring. Would you like a healthy relationship? Sure. That desire is natural and that's beautiful. But why does it have to be in misery and unhealthy and this cycle of dysfunction? Why? Why? Why do we allow that? Why is that the norm? Well, this is just relationships. Nah. All right. So you've heard me talk about Single You Academy, and maybe you're like, you know what, Rika, I do want to work on me. So I'll never be in a dysfunctional relationship again. I want to truly be happy single. You just have no idea where to start. Again, you've heard Drake say, know yourself, know your worth. And you're like, that is a different language. I don't even know what that means. I would like to do that, but where do I start? Because if you want to be a doctor, you know exactly where to go. If you want to be a lawyer, you know there's school for that. But where do you go when you want to know thyself? Where do you go when you want to learn about love under the structure of a healthy relationship? Where do you go when you want to unlearn all the BS you learned because of experience through your parents, through nobody ever having a conversation with you about this is narcissism, this is projection, this is love bombing? Because we think abuse is just somebody hitting you. It's way deeper than that, boo boo. It's way deeper than that. Because when I was in my emotionally abusive relationship, I used to think, well, he's not hitting me, so is he really abusing me? I was confused. So what life would you choose? A, I want to continue to be in a dysfunctional relationship, weak mindset. B, I want to never date again out of fear, fearful mindset. C, I want to live my life truly happy single and date from a seat of truly knowing myself and worth. Strong mindset. Where do you want to be? A, B, or C? It's a choice. It's a choice. If you chose C and you're ready to work on yourself, you just need somebody to hold you accountable and somebody to give you the steps. I got you. So let's talk about Single You Academy, okay? So let me actually pull the website up for my Facebookers, but Instagram I'll show you as well. Okay? It is loading. There we go. Because again, today's topic was why therapy or journaling may not be working for you. You still find yourself in this revolving door of dysfunction, and how having a coach is different when it comes to this cycle of dysfunctional relationships. And as I told you earlier, a therapist, from this is what my clients tell me and what I've experienced with the therapist. This is not throwing therapy under the bus. Therapy is beautiful. But therapy is there, from what my clients have told me and they experience with their therapist and me, to just ask you a lot of questions and figure out your whys and heal your inner child. Whereas I'm your coach, I work specifically in this lane of helping you stop this cycle of dysfunction. Because what I know is men don't have to lie to you to be with you. If you like him enough, you'll lie to yourself. And you've been trying all the things, but old habits are hard to break, and you need somebody to hold your hand. So, Single You Academy application process is open. It is my online intensive 16-week small group inner work program. Focus on growth for the professional single woman. A lot of my clients are single moms because it's always about breaking the habits with their baby daddies in their 30s and 40s who want to stop the cycle of dysfunctional relationships with men. Maybe it's just that one guy. Okay? And you want to do that without the overwhelm of feeling icky for saying no, for setting a boundary, for being in fear that he'll leave you. So if you're ready for accountability to guide you in stopping that cycle of dysfunction, then Single You Academy is for you. So I will ask you again, are you ready to discover your worth and learn how to set clear boundaries so you can be that happily single woman, knowing who she is, knowing what you want, having the audacity to believe that you can get it and the patience to wait for it? If you're ready to be that woman and you're ready to do the work, I want you to send me a DM here on Instagram or type I'm in the chat here on Facebook. Because there is an application process, so you do have to apply. Because I don't coach every woman. I coach a certain kind of woman, one who's ready to show up for herself and do the work. You're ready to invest in yourself and have a step-by-step process of discovering who you are so you can stop tying your identity to men. So if you're ready for that, because let me ask you this, I know where you want to be. You do want to be that woman. But what happens if you don't get the step-by-step? What happens if you don't work on yourself? Because you've been trying. Maybe you've tried therapy, you've tried journaling, and it's not working. And you would like a step-by-step. I got you. So where will you be if you don't start working on yourself? In the same cycle of dysfunction. All right, doors close June 4th. The application process ends June 4th. And then me and my new group, we start on June 6th. So you have to get your application in ASAP. And then what will happen is you'll answer a few questions, you'll apply, then we'll get on a Zoom call. You'll be prompted to schedule our Zoom call. And then boom, we're on the call and we see if we'll be a good fit. Now, some calls I do cancel if I read over your application. I'm like, no, she's not a good fit. I'm really particular of who I work with. I want women who are going to show up for themselves and really want change. So anyway, singleyouacademy.com, real easy website. You can apply there, but also send me a DM so I know. If you have any questions, it is not weird if you send me a DM. I'm not going to be like, why is she DMing me? This is the weirdest thing ever. No, I know what I do. Reach out to me. The doors are open. I don't know that you're drowning if you don't scream for help. I can't reach out my hand for you if you don't tell me you need help. So if you're in Single You Academy, you feel like right now it's a good fit, you can type I'm in the chat. And in the replay, if you're watching this before June 4th, 2021, you can type I'm in the chat. I still get the notification. The doors close June 4th. And that's it, y'all. I'm going to go about my day. I do have a funeral to go to today. Unfortunately, my aunt did die a week ago. No, maybe like 2 weeks ago now. They waited to have her funeral on her birthday, which is today. So I'm going to go do that and be with my family. But please send me a DM if you have any questions. Other than that, you have a great rest of your Thursday.